Now that the umbrella handle has finished cooling, I went ahead, finished drilling the hole in the end of it to a depth of 1 3/4 inches. Then I went with my putty and took care of all the flat spots and all the any deep grooves or little pits, filled them in and sanded it down nice and smooth. Now you're also going to want to use putty on this, the little period that goes under the question mark. This is a 1.5 inch diameter dowel cap with a 3/8 diameter hole pre-drilled into it. Now the hole does not go all the way through, so you'll have to get a drill and finish drilling it through by hand. You can get these at any decent hobby store that has a really good woodcraft section. Since it's made out of wood, there might be some little cracks or crevices on the surface of the period. You'll want to fill them in with putty and sand them down. And once you've had the hole drilled through, you're going to have to start work on the umbrella. What I've done here is taken a 4-inch long dowel rod. I marked 1.5 inches from one end of it. Then I put some glue, Gorilla Glue. It's a really good glue for working with wood because as it dries, it also expands and fills up any gaps while it's expanding. And then I place the dowel rod in until I have it 1.5 inches into the shaft. You don't want to put the dowel rod so far into the shaft that it's messing up the locking mechanism of your umbrella. That's why I say mark it 1.5 inches long and shove it down until you hit that mark. Now I had a little extra length on the dowel rod because I wasn't sure how long to cut the dowel rod, because I wanted to do a test fit of everything before I started painting. So you put the period on, you should have a snug or tight fit, and then you take your handle and put it and slide it on the end. Now I shoot for a 1/2 inch gap between the period and the bottom of the handle. And if you have too much of a gap, then just slowly take off a little bit on the end of the dowel rod, put the handle back on, and keep doing that until you get the proper gap between the two. Now if your gap's too small, you can wad up some little pieces of paper, put them into the hole of the handle, and then put the handle back on, and that'll give you a little extra length when it comes to the gap. And since I've pretty much got this test fit where I want it, I'm going to call that good. Now, for painting the umbrella itself, for this end, I suggest using a paint marker, preferably a glossy black. Because since we're going to have the period and the handle on this end, there's not going to be much paint. I mean, much of the shaft exposed. So you can just go in there with the paint marker and just touch up the spots that are showing, and it'll be fine. As far as this end of the umbrella goes, you're going to have to get like a sheet of newspaper and some masking tape and wrap this end of the umbrella in the paper and then tape off this end. You're going to want to basically cover up as much of the umbrella fabric as possible, because when you go spray painting it, you might get a little overspray and the excess paint will just drip down and start soaking into the fabric, and that will make for a not so nice looking umbrella. Also, when you're spray painting this end, light coats every time. I suggest using a primer coat, probably a light gray would work, to take care of this tip. The light gray will help cover up the difference between the black and the shiny metal tip. So that way you'll use less coats of the red paint.